my name is Carolyn Atkins, and for my Humanities project, I have chosen Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Here is what it looks like. And I just think it's one of the most beautiful paintings I have ever seen. I've always been extremely fascinated by it, even from childhood, and I just think all the layers and the depth of the painting and the oil and how long it just took him to paint this painting with little to no appreciation. It's just beautiful. So the reason I did choose this painting was, I kind of already said, was because of the beauty, and I've just always been extremely fascinated. Art has never really, been my thing, but this painting has definitely always been intriguing to me. So I'll start off with a little backstory about Vincent van Gogh. He was born in Holland in 1853, and he was the son of a preacher, and he wanted to actually be a preacher growing up, and he had tried, and he thought that was his calling. So after becoming a book salesman, a art salesman, and a preacher, and they all three failed, he turned to art and really just found relief and found his calling in painting pictures. In his lifetime, he painted over 900 paintings and only sold one of them in his lifetime. And none of them were appreciated until the fact after his death. So he struggled. He was a very emotional person and struggled with his identity. And since he did believe he was supposed to be a preacher, being a painter made no sense to him. So he struggled between going back and forth between being like, my father was a preacher, I need to be a preacher, and I love painting, and this is where I'm happy, this is what I'm happy doing. So he really struggled with his identity in deciding on what to do with his life. After going through 2 unsuccessful marriages and all those jobs that didn't work out for him, he really fell into a lot of depression and just was never really happy. So Van Gogh was classified at his time as an Impressionist painter. An Impressionist painter would be someone who really just finds painting just his relief and just really puts all of his emotion and his memories in his paintings. And this was definitely Van Gogh. He, along with a handful of other artists, were classified as some of the first Impressionist painters of their time. At this time, it was so mainstream to paint like what you saw, and that just be that, painting flowers, painting people. There was no emotion attached to the paintings. So when people would see these paintings, they'd be like, oh, these are beautiful, but that's all they are, and they would never make people really feel anything. But Van Gogh and a handful of other painters and artists really changed that by almost inventing the Impressionist style and just really pouring their heart out into their paintings. So after he went through all those failed marriages and failed jobs, in 1886, he joined his brother Theo Van Gogh and met other Impressionist artists in France after he moved. He tried to start an art school with painter Paul Gauguin, and that came out of a place of good. He really did want to teach people and start a Impressionist school where he could just impart his knowledge and Gauguin's knowledge onto these students. But Van Gogh also had a extremely bad temper, and one day, after becoming frustrated with his partner, he chased him around and with the open blade knife and actually cut off his own ear. Contrary to popular belief, he did not purposefully cut off his own ear and give it to a girl. No, he actually accidentally cut off his own ear and almost bled to death in his bed. So after all that, he got sent to a mental asylum for about 2 years, and he really was doing a lot better, and it was therapeutic for him, and he painted a lot while he was in the asylum. Actually, Starry Night was actually painted from his asylum window, and along with about 20 or more other paintings of the same picture. He just kept on practicing and practicing, and Starry Night was one of those, and he considered it to be a terrible painting. And about 2 months after he was out, he actually committed suicide and shot himself, what was believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot, and committed suicide. I just think that the Starry Night painting is just so beautiful and just comes out of a place of Van Gogh's heart, where he was just studying the sky and just sitting there in awe of all of the creation around him, and just painted what he felt. He was sad, and that showed up in his painting. You can just look at it and tell it has a mood, a set mood, where Van Gogh is just sitting there in this asylum and he feels trapped. But he doesn't display that in his painting. He doesn't paint the bars on the windows. He shows optimism in his painting by showing the wide open landscape. And actually Van Gogh said one time, he said that the night was much more alive and richly colored than the day. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because so often so many painters paint pictures of the daytime and how beautiful the day is, the daylilies, the sunlight, yields flowers, and he was one of the first and one of the biggest artists to paint a piece of art with a night setting. And I just thought it was beautiful, because he just displayed it so beautifully with the thickness of the oil paint and layer upon layer, and hours it took him just to paint this beautiful picture, when he was really a artistic genius. And I think that if Van Gogh was alive today and he could see the impact that his paintings had, he would just be blown away. And they really are masterpieces, and I think that it would classify as a masterpiece. He just put so much emotion into his paintings, and they just came alive with this short brush strokes. He didn't use like big swoops or anything like that. He would just use little tiny thickly, with a lot of paint in the brush just soaked. He would just do little strokes, and this whole painting came alive from his sorrow and his anger. I just think it's one of the most beautiful paintings, and just really a masterpiece. And I'm so thankful that he was able to reach people, even if he didn't know it, with his paintings. And he just really did an amazing job. Anyways, so that's my opinion on Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. And I hope to one day go see it. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.